Continuing with our series on answering my friends' questions that is imminently getting into beekeeping, and yours if you leave them in the comment section down below. The question for today is, what if I have to move a hive after I have initially placed it? Well, there are a couple different ways to accomplish this. I have to do this all the time. In fact, I have one colony right now that needs moved, and I have another swarm out there that is going to need moved as well. And there are certain things that you should leverage when you go to move them, and certain things that you should accept if you don't have ideal conditions. So let's talk about the ideal conditions for moving a hive. High winter is a fantastic time to move a hive because everybody is kind of in hibernation. You basically pick the thing up. You probably don't even need to wear your bee suit if it's cold outside. Pick the thing up, move it over. Don't crack it open or any of that sort of stuff. And just move it from point A to point B. And when they wake up, they're going to come out and reorient themselves. And that's really what the crux of this thing is they will reorient themselves wherever you move them. However, if there are bees out of the colony, they are going to return to the original location of the colony. The old adage is you can move it 3 inches or 3 miles. I think that's pretty simplistic. You can do a lot more than that, but just understand that the default location for any workers or not workers, gatherers that are out there is going to be to return that original location. So another really great time to move, especially at this time of year. So tomorrow it's going to rain a whole lot. Tomorrow I'm going to be going out in the pouring down rain to move that one hive because it was basically a swarm that was on top of one of my other colonies. So basically a colony was getting ready to swarm. I scooped the swarm up off the side of the colony and put it in another box. But the problem is it was hot that day. Who's worker for that colony over there or the new colony? Who knows? So I basically put them together, and whoever wanted to segregate themselves would segregate themselves. And they've been living that way for the last, week or so. So they've had enough time to kind of segregate themselves out, but I want to move them and retain as many of those workers in the swarm colony as possible. So I'm going to go out when everybody's home. So I'm going to walk over to that colony while it's raining. I'm going to pick the whole thing up and I'm going to move it on the new spot. And I'm going to walk away. And that's how that gets moved. If it's more complicated than that, then there's some other things that you can do. You can use nighttime as a good time to move colonies. That gets a little bit complicated because you have to be able to see. And when you turn on a white light, they react to that sort of stuff. But you can do it in phases. So typically, let's go with the scenario that I need to move a colony from point A to point B. And let's assume that there's going to be some mechanization involved in here and that I'm going to put it in my truck and drive it somewhere else, whether it's on the same property or a different property or whatever. How I would do that is I would go out and whenever I'm planning on prepping, probably in the afternoon or something like that, and I would seal all of the entrances except for the main entrance. And I would put that main entrance on the small setting. So I have a very small space that I have to seal up when I come back at nighttime. And I would also redo my ratchet straps or whatever so that the colony is contained. So let's say you got a double deep and a top cover, bottom cover, or top cover, inner cover, and bottom board. And then your 2 deeps in the center. I'm going to take that ratchet strap and wrap it around the whole thing so that it's all one unit. It's all sealed up. If I have any questionable spots, I'm going to take some duct tape, put it over top of that, seal it up. Then when I come back at night, I'm going to walk up to that hive and I'm going to take the duct tape, put it over to the entranceway, and then I'm going to load the whole thing in my truck and drive away. Now, when it comes to kind of the hierarchy of best is high winter. High winter is best. Everybody's home. Nobody's out. And you can move the whole thing. Rain is second best because there are probably some individuals out there that just didn't quite make it back before the storm hit, and they've been kind of grounded until the rain breaks, and then you'll see them come back in a small little cluster. Nighttime is good, but it's not as good as the other ones because there are bees that still go out at night. They just are. And they do guard their colony at night in the absence of weather. So they're going to be out on the box waiting for you, and they're going to come out and greet you, and they can signal the colony. So that's why you got to do that quickly. So it's kind of like whatever fits your situation. You can move a hive. Just know that if you don't have some kind of interrupting event between gathering events, then those bees are going to return to the original location. So when they come out of the hive in the morning, they're going to do an orientation flight. They're going to figure out what's going on. And then they're going to continue to come back to that location from there on out. But if you don't have some kind of interrupting event, then they're just going to go back to the old location. And they'll figure it out. But like if you're moving it between like spots in your bee yard, then you want to make sure there's some kind of interrupting event. If you're moving it to a different property, it doesn't really matter because except for the ones that you lost at the original location. But when you move it to a new property, they're going to do a reorientation flight, and they're not going to be trying to get back to the other location because they've recognized that they're somewhere else. It's when they don't have to do a reorientation flight to understand the surroundings that there might be some confusion there. But generally speaking, if there's an interruptive event like a rainstorm or it's cold type thing, then generally you're good.